my gosh, that's crazy.
Mickey's like, I'm giving you a neck ache.
Right?
Get
Wow.
ready to have a sore neck.
Yes.
So that
You
was
got
from
Mickey on
71. They sold that visor in 71.
Oh my god.
We have a bunch of heads left over from some dolls. What should we do with them? Stick them on a visor.
Stick them on a
I only
visor.
saw one other person wear one.
I didn't see a
I'm sure-
single person wearing that.
I
So
saw 2 people, I think, wearing them.
I'm
I
sure
did
more
not.
bought them, but I almost thought about wearing them. But like, I love my partner statue hat. Like,
yeah. No, Beth, it's not a nice visor.
No, it's very nice. This thing is so. This thing is the definition
I
of
know
nice.
she's so like, yeah. She probably like influenced you in buying it. She's like, you should buy that visor.
No, actually, like it was actually a last minute thing. Like where we were stepping up to the register in the vault. I was disappointed because
I did see you
because they didn't have this shirt, which I finally ended up getting. They didn't have a yellow shirt, which I wanted to get. And then last second, this is like kind of they had like 2 left.
Got it.
I was like, what is this? And it was like, I think that's a 1971 like original visor. Like, put in the we're getting it.
Put it in. Let's go.
Because I just wanted to get something. I was so mad.
We'll talk about that. Okay, let's get going here. All
right.
Okay. I get these things out. Okay, 1977. Here we go.
Hey, good.
Welcome to episode 1977 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you are having a great week as we are back from celebrating 50 magical years at Walt Disney World. And what a whirlwind of a weekend it was. It was very much like a Run Disney race weekend where, I mean, we landed, we had a lot of fun. We were exhausted. We couldn't take it. And all of a sudden, bam, we were back at MCO and wheels up back home. So we have a lot to talk about today and Friday. I know on Wednesdays, we always do listener questions, but we are going to skip that this week. We'll be back to listener questions next Wednesday. So if you have any questions, get those in, especially about any of these things that have happened. We got a lot of new restaurants, new nighttime spectaculars, new procedures. We have a lot of news this week. I mean, outside of the 50th, meet and greets are back in a new fashion. We have Magic Band Plus coming, which Pam got to experience. She did all the media stuff. She's not with us today and Friday because she's still, semi-resident of Florida at this point. She's transitioning, I think. I don't know. She's building a new house, actually. So she's rather, in between houses. I think she's just rather live at Walt Disney World till the new house is done. I think that's fine. I'm serious. That might.
No,
be,
you're probably right. Yeah,
I think so. So she's going to be back next week for the shows. But we have this is the dream team here too. So we're gonna have a good time today. But no listener questions. We're going to talk today about what it was like being at the Magic Kingdom on October 1st. We got some things right, most things wrong about what it was going to be like being there, I think. But it was wrong in the right way. So we're going to talk about that. Ricky's joining us today from themouseforless.com. What's up, Ricky?
So I'm a little disappointed in us because this is show 1977 and it should have been 1971 because that would have been perfect to talk about the 50th. So
you could have told me that back in 2008.
I know. I'm sorry. We could have started just a couple weeks later and we would have had, 1971, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm not that disappointed in us. But I'm so glad to be back. It was definitely a whirlwind trip. I missed my bed, so I definitely crashed into that. But I was so exhausted yesterday when I got home. I worked all day, and I was like, Brian, I gotta go to bed. Like I can't stay up any longer. So yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind trip. So. Yeah,
so also joining us today, we have my friend and yours, #Scotty G. Scott, you know what it is with Ricky. She missed the recovery day in the quiet pool at the Contemporary. I think that's what got us through. She was on the road there, 75 North.
Dude, the recovery day was a much needed thing after going hard like 3 or 4 days in a row. But happy to be back, Mike. I know you hit it. You took the words right out of my mouth. Pam just wants to live in Walt Disney World while they're building the house. I totally know how she rolls. She might not admit it, but that's in the back of her mind. That's really what's happening. But happy to be here to discuss the awesome happenings of the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
And apparently from the feedback in the live chat, my voice is a little bit lower. That's just because, honestly, we were talking for 4 or 5 days.
True story.
Solid. And it was awesome because everywhere you turn, it reminded me very much of the old Mouse when we had Mouse Fest back in 2008. And I did wear some credentials from that throughout the weekend, especially my Dream Fast Pass. Got many compliments on that, cast members and from Ricky.
No, you didn't get a compliment from me. You got
I
other
pulled
things
that
from
off,
me.
yes.
Yeah.
So Scott to wear my old Dream Fast Pass from 2008 around the Magic Kingdom on October 1st. But yeah, a lot of talking, but it was great meeting everybody who came up and said, listen to the show. That means a ton to us. I mean, because again, as we record this podcast, Scott's sitting in his office, Ricky's in her basement. I'm in my office here that I work in. And, you know, we don't have any interaction really other than our chat room, which we love. But, you know, hopefully wherever you are around the world, you're enjoying the shows. And thanks for stopping us and saying hello. You know, I even got to ride home with a couple of folks, awesome ladies that are friends of the show that are on the Plan Disney panel, and got to talk Disney all the way back to St. Louis on the plane. And they were headed to Pittsburgh. They were hoping that Pam would be on their flight because they had to connect through St. Louis. And I was like, well, Pam Forrester, she's again staying in Florida till maybe January. I don't know.
So you're stuck with me. Yeah.
I'm here. Can I have that window seat? Because there's two of you. And they let me have the window seats. I was like, I'll fly. I got to have the window. And they let me have it. So it's all good. Okay. Thanks. So anyway, let's talk about the first. Okay. Because we've been talking about this is the questions. This is the anticipation. We've been talking about this for about 18 months. Like Wednesdays every day. Every Wednesday there'll be 2 or 3 questions about what's going to be like, strategies and all that. Ricky, what did we get right? What did we get wrong on October 1st, looking at it? And then we'll kind of dive into what it was like being in there. But initially, like, what did we get right and wrong?
So we definitely got right that it would be crowded. It was a very busy park for sure. But crowded in different ways, I think, than we expected. Maybe not so crowded on the attractions, but definitely crowded for merchandise and popcorn buckets. If you were there for a popcorn bucket, you were waiting a good hour at least to get your bucket, because they had specialty buckets that came out and they had 4 different colors. And so everybody was trying to get every single color. So that I did not expect.
The balloon buckets.
Yes, there were balloons.
They did have like a 50th anniversary, like the regular bucket, which I waited like 5 minutes to get.
Correct.
The Mickey balloon ones were impossible to get.
The Mickey balloon ones were absolutely impossible. Same with the sippers. They had a mini sipper. I heard that went like that. There were definitely some things we did not experience with merchandise because I didn't go buy any, but they did have a virtual queue for merchandise. I heard that there was some fighting, which, is always fun. And
you go to the hockey games for fights. I mean, maybe not the Magic Kingdom, but.
I mean, yes, exactly. But definitely had that, which I mean, I should have expected because I've seen other, anniversary stuff or, things like that. And there've definitely been some heated moments and, shops, especially like the Emporium and stuff like that before. So I don't know why we didn't expect that, but we definitely expected the long waits for food, and that was correct. Had some friends who unfortunately had waited a very, 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 very long time. I'm talking like over an hour for quick service food. So we were correct on the food aspect for that day. It definitely was a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, the crowds were certainly there for the premiere of Disney Enchantment, which I didn't experience because I decided I did not want to be in the crowds. But Mike, you did. So, and I think you did, Scott, too. So, but I know that I saw pictures and the parks were just insane. The Magic Kingdom was just insanely crowded on that day. I, however, went over and did see Harmonious. So
yeah. We'll talk about that. So this show is going to be more about what it was like being there on the first. We're going to dive into that today. Yes. And then on Friday, we're going to do more reviews of we went to Steakhouse 71, got to sit at Tim's table. That was awesome.
It was so awesome.
Anyway, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Harmonious. We're going to talk about Enchantment on Friday. We're going to talk about Space 220. Ricky and I dined there. Ricky's been there twice. She'll probably mention that.
I have,
because you've been there twice.
I have.
We're gonna dive into some of those things that we got to do. I know Scott and I are going to talk probably 12 times about how cool the monorails look at night now.
Yes,
it's unbelievable. And Spaceship Earth is like the whole. I can't.
Yes,
28 minutes of the show Friday. How awesome!
Correct.
So that's Friday. So don't think we're leaving this stuff out. So Friday's going to be more reviews. This is going to be kind of more of a feely, what it was like kind of show, just to give you the experience of what it was like, because we look forward to this for so long. Okay, so let me ask Scott this question, because Scott and Ricky got down on Wednesday. Now remember, Friday was the first. I got down there on Thursday afternoon and I'll be honest, Scott let me know that he made an ADR, Maya Grill, Friday evening. I wasn't going to get there until about 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and I would have missed it. I changed my flight because we were going to eat at my grill. So I honestly changed my flight just so I could have my grill done. It was awesome. We celebrated Neil's birthday, one of the lizards, had a great meal with lots of friends. So much fun. Great way to kick off the trip. But the whole conversation, again, even at dinner on Thursday night, was all about what's your strategy for Friday morning? Because we knew that people would be getting up at 5 in the morning and getting in line for the buses or the boats, or in Scott's case, at the guard shack, walking over from Contemporary. Like, what are you going to do? So walk us through, Scott, like kind of how that all went for us, and then how it all played out for each of us getting over to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I had there's two options I was kicking around because 6-7 years ago, like we've had this date on our mind, right? We've had this date circled on the calendar. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay at the Contemporary Resort no matter what it takes on the 30th, because I want to wake up at an original resort. It was either that or the Polynesian. I wanted the Contemporary more. And so I was super excited about that. So I was like, I could wake up and I can just walk there and get in line like super early. Like that would be super convenient. But then I thought about the crowds. Like I knew it was going to be chaos, right? And like that, and that would be a really long day if I want to stay for the whole thing. So we kind of went with the strategy of let's have breakfast at Steakhouse 71. Let's casually make our way in. And that's kind of what we were planning on. That's kind of the discussions at Maya Grill. Like, do we really need to be there first thing? It's going to be a madhouse. Let's just take our time, enjoy the day, slowly make our way in. We're not going to get like left out because we have a park pass, right? So there was no concerns there of not being there first thing in the morning. And honestly, we'll dive into it a little bit more, but it worked out perfectly, I think. Just not being there in that madness. I didn't get any black eyes or bruises or anything like going over like the virtual queue or popcorn buckets or anything. It ended up being like a nice chill day, nice little chill stroll. It did get crazy at night. We'll talk about that a little bit, but I thought the morning and early afternoon ended up being perfectly for that delayed strategy of going into the park.
Well, and Pam kind of dropped that on us about 2 weeks out. She's like, what if with the theme park reservations, what if we roll in at like 10:30 or 11, just miss the entire cast? And then we got in there because again, we're Disney fans. We're like, hey, what can we miss? Like, there's going to be a welcome show. And there was, and of course, would I like to see that? Yes. But again, it's kind of you say, is it worth it? Like, do I want to fight this bus line at Pop Century, because I stay in Pop Century, all the way around the resort to see a 10-minute welcome show that maybe some executives may be out there, maybe not. And I'll be honest, we all have our different things. Like I know, some of our listeners are really into getting pictures with the executives. I'll be honest, I don't know who Jeff and Josh and
I do.
I know some tall guy was in the middle of Main Street, USA. I texted Scott. I was like, people are taking selfies with this guy. I think his name's Jeff. I said, who is this guy? And Scott told me who he was. And that was good. I mean, because that's what fans are for. I'm just about the fun of it. Like, I don't, the executives, that's their job. That's not me. And so the thing was, like, I think I got actually, because that's a Pop Century. And what I did, I just got up, I did my run. I went down and I told myself, we're going to be in the middle of it. Like I was going to let the whole first wave kind of get out of there. Because that was my one thing. I was so scared about staying at Pop Century, but I switched from Coronado because it wouldn't have made a difference for the Magic Kingdom day. I was riding a bus either way from Magic Kingdom to Coronado.
Yeah.
And then I knew I was going to Epcot on the 2nd. So at least coming home from Epcot and going to Epcot, I had the Skyliner from Pop. That was kind of my whole strategy there at the last minute. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got my run in, went down to the Pop Century food court, got a little bounty platter, because the thing was, we were all worried about food, right? Yes. I didn't want to get to the Magic Kingdom and not be able to get like a cinnamon roll or something. I'd have been,
which was the case. Yes.
You don't want to run 10 miles and not be able to get something to eat. I'd have been in that madness in the import. I wouldn't even be buying stuff. I'd be just looking for somebody to hit. Like, I'm hungry. Like,
I'm hungry. Let's go.
I'm just hungry. I just want to brawl, So anyway, I got my bounty platter, just kind of casually ate it. And then I'm like, okay, my bounty platter's gone. I guess got to go out to that bus stop. And I'm just thinking, oh my Lord, here we go. Cause I've been in long lines for Run Disney races, like where you go out there, it's like, well, wait, where's the end of that line?
Yeah.
I can't see it. I walk out there. There is not a soul in the Magic Kingdom stall. And they have the big old third-party motor coaches there. And I know some people are like, oh my gosh, Disney should never have those third-party motor coaches. I beg to differ. If that thing's going to get me in a cushy seat with showing me a movie without waiting to the Magic Kingdom on October 1st, bring it on. And they did. And I got there super fast. Rolled in, I think at about 8:30 or 9. It wasn't bad. And like, I think I was the first one there, and I just kind of casually walked up Main Street. They gave us a commemorative map as you went into the park, took some, selfies.
Which I called, by the way. I said we were totally getting a commemorative map. Yes.
I mean, it's not that great. It's I mean,
I think it's kind of cool. It's got iridescent on it. It's kind of
it's cool. So, but I mean, I met some friends of the show on Main Street, and just kind of talked about that. And then I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to do? Because you guys weren't there yet. You guys,
Well, it was madness at the Contemporary. Let me just say. So
you texted me, you're like, for real quick too. I was like, what have you heard? Like before I came over, like I was having breakfast. I'm like, what have you seen on social media? Because I haven't looked. He's like, virtual queue sold out. I'm like, virtual queue? I'm like, what is a virtual queue at the Magic Kingdom all of a sudden?
Right?
Freaking out at that point. And they're like, no, it's for merchandise. I'm like, I could care less about merchandise.
I could care less,
but so Beth got us a steak. So that was the day Steakhouse 71 opened. So I went for like a morning walk. Like I was kind of, as you like to call on the podcast, Mike, I was kind of Disney nerding out that morning. Like, I'm just going to walk the grounds of the original resort. And like, I took some monorail photos, like with the sunset. And like, I was just like really soaking it in. Like, this is really cool how like 50 years ago, people were going to be like walking over to the Magic Kingdom. And here I am like doing the same thing, like, I just thought I was just super geeking out. But then, I went over to Steakhouse 71 and I got to see the ribbon cutting. Like I saw them like cut the ribbon. Like the manager came out and got like the staff, the cast members all psyched up. She's like, you guys work at the greatest restaurant at Walt Disney World. Like we're going to be like, she was like getting me pumped. Like I was ready to put on an apron and start working there. Like I was so ready to go. Like it was so awesome. So I got to see that, which is really cool. And Beth got us an ADR the night before while we're waiting for the Skyliner. Like it was like a last minute breakfast. I was like, this is going to be a sweet way to start the day. Mm-hmm. So she drove over. Even though she was on the reservation, even though like she has a friend staying at the resort, there was like 7 security guards and they were just U-turning everyone. It didn't even matter if I was driving in. Like say if I left to go like get McDonald's breakfast and came back, they wouldn't even let me park there as a resort guest. Wow. That's how there wasn't a single.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there wasn't a single spot to get in the place.
Right. That was one thing on the bus. Like coming from Pop, World Drive was pretty jammed up coming in on the buses. Anyway, all the traffic coming in past the Contemporary because they were turning the cars from the Contemporary, which is causing a traffic jam outside the Contemporary. But and some people were getting antsy on the bus. Like I just have this stress. It's the Run Disney in me. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be a long day. I'm sitting in a comfortable seat in air conditioning. I'm good. Like if it takes me 30 extra minutes to get to the Magic Kingdom, I'm good. Like I'm not missing anything. So go ahead. Yeah, but I did see that traffic.
Yeah, so that was crazy. Just getting turned around. So I know it started like her day kind of off on the rough start, but it ended up working out. Like she's part of the TTC, came over on monorail. We had a great breakfast. Tim was our server. We'll talk about that more on Friday's episode. But that was really awesome. And then I was like, well, how do I want to get there? Like we can walk, right? Walking is cool, but it's like it's the 50th anniversary. I want to take the monorail. So we took the resort monorail around, which is really cool. And then we got in, and that's how we got to the park. How did you get to the park that day, Ricky?
So I was also at Pop. So I slept in because I was like, I knew that they had early morning hours, which the park opened at 8. So the early morning hours were at 7:30. And I said, no, I ain't doing that. I'm not even coming close to that. So I said, I'm just going to sleep in. I'm going to enjoy my morning. And I did. I got up a little bit early. I got up a little earlier than I would have on a Disney vacation. I mean, I got up, and I actually got to the park by, I think, like 10:30, something along those lines. So for me, that's early. But I too went and had breakfast at the resort. I got my refillable mug because I was told the day before that they were going to have special refillable mugs for the 50th. And so they may or may not have told me to wait to grab one until tomorrow. So I did when I got there to the resort. And I'm glad that I got one because when I went back a couple days later, they were all gone. So I'm glad I got one when I did. But I'm sure they will be restocked. But, the initial rush definitely got to Pop Century. But I, like Mike, was worried about the wait for the bus. And so I, walked out and there wasn't a soul there at the line. And I was like, okay, cool. So
there's nobody still going there at that time. Seriously, Ricky.
At 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Why would anybody be going?
Coming back for their nap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, there wasn't a soul there. Eventually a few people did end up getting on the bus, but I was quite surprised. And by the time I got there, a lot of the traffic on World Drive had been cleared up. We did have a little bit of a congestion right before, right at the Contemporary. But other than that, I mean, it was smooth sailing. I mean, really, truly, easily that we just glided on through. So, but yes, I did see a bunch of people leaving the park when I got there, and I could tell because they were carrying bags of merchandise and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, cool, you've already been to the park for merch, and you're peacing out now. Awesome.
Gotta get eBay.
Yeah, exactly.
I think some people are leaving because they're giving you. We'll talk about that later, but they were giving you a little gift as you left too.
Correct.
I think some people were. I was one of them. I like freaked out. Like, oh my god! Like, I want to get this thing.
I want to get it. Yeah, I know. I was freaking out too. I was like, oh, they're not gonna. I hope they have them at the end of the night when I leave. Mm-hmm. Granted, I didn't end up leaving at the end of the night. I left in the afternoon, but I still got mine. But I was a little worried. I was a little concerned. Will I get my special commemorative, picture? But I did.
Mine got all bent up in my suitcase.
Oh, that stinks.
We're gonna get ours framed, I think, and put.
I'm gonna get mine framed too. Yeah.
We might put like the map.
I was thinking the same thing. Oh my gosh, same difference. Yes.
I just keep it under the desk. But okay, so let's talk about once we arrived though. It was interesting because again, I was there first, talked to some folks on Main Street. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna buy. I remember though, I was walking through like between the castle and over by Cosmic Rays and where you used to get the cake pops, the Mad Hatter place.
Yeah.
The teacups. And that line, I had no idea where that line was going. Like there's a line where that was the line for the popcorn cart in the hub to get the, the popcorn buckets. Oh
my gosh.
Balloons. So that was when I first saw the merchandise lines. And I'm just glad I wasn't trying to get one of those.
Yes.
Because that was crazy. But then I was like, well, nobody's here yet. I got to do a ride. Like it's 50th. I want to do a ride. I'm here. Nobody's here yet. Space Mountain is my favorite ride. Again, I always regret it after I ride it, but I did. Again, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just going to, get in line. It'll be inside. Get over there. 15-minute posted wait, 10 minutes to ride it. I'm like, on October 1st, like if I go on this on a random day in February, I'm going to wait an hour. But on October 1st, in the morning, no less, 10 minutes to ride Space Mountain. And I was wearing my Dream Fast Pass. And so the cast member, when I get up there, is so funny. I'm getting ready to get on the rocket. The guy's like, oh my God, did they bring those back for the 50th anniversary? Like, are they doing Dream Fast Pass? He didn't know. He thought he missed something. I'm like, no, man, this is actually from 2008. He's like, oh, dude. He's like, you had me going, man. I thought they brought them back. He's like, I love those. I had one back in the day. He's like, do you want to ride in the front of the rocket though? Yes, I was like, yes, I never used any of the tabs. At least I got something for it.
There you go.
The rocket. So shout out to that cast member on Space Mountain. Made my day right off the bat. So that was kind of fun. But it was, again, all day that we found out as we went around was 5-minute waits, 10-minute waits. I mean, this was a day where you could ride attractions at the Magic Kingdom on October 1st. I mean, the waits were like 30 minutes or less for almost everything. I mean, even Seven Dwarfs was like an hour or less, I think. Mm-hmm. That was really the only thing that had any kind of a wait all day. And we got that wrong. That's one thing we got wrong because I kept saying, you're going to want to go to the Magic Kingdom. It's going to be for the environment, to say you were there. If you ride a couple of attractions throughout the day, great. But that's going to be gravy. You're going to be there for the atmosphere, for the fireworks show at the end of the day, and for any extra things that happen. Now, did anybody see, Scott, did you see any of the extra cavalcades or anything like that throughout the day? Because I didn't. I didn't get that.
Well, you did, Mike. You were with me for one of them because you got, I think you saw all three of them every time I saw one.
Okay.
It was the new 50th one with the iridescent outfits and Mickey and Minnie were on top. We had Chip and Dale. And we saw them from 3 different locations, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool
to see. We saw them in the hub by Cinderella's Castle the first time. Then we saw it in Town Square, and then we saw them right when they come out in Frontierland. So I thought that was super cool to see different angles of it. I love those outfits. I photographed it. I videoed it. Like, I don't know. It was just super cool for me to see because I still love the characters. The characters are so awesome to me. And I thought it was cool to see the new cavalcade. But can I give we might go into this too, but like, I just want to give a shout out to the cast members.
Yes.
Like the cast members were spectacular. Like I didn't see all the chaos early in the morning and I'm sure they handled that just fine, but cast were great. Cast were just in good spirits that day. I think I even commented to Elizabeth, like they gotta be loving this. And like, I hope this like energy that they're feeding off of the guests, continues going on, like for the future. Like, I just remember we did the Tiki Room as a big group.
Yeah, so much fun.
That cast member cracked me up. They're like, all right, he's been doing this for 50 years today.
Jose,
let's give it up. Let's wake up Jose. Like, and then like and side note, like I've never been in a jam tiki room. Too.
Oh yeah, right.
It was 100% full. 100% full.
It was so full.
It filled to the last, like, but
and then we did Country Bear Jamboree,
right?
And, like,
Also
that was a full
full
house too. Like I was clapping and dancing, like it was so much fun. But like the cast were so into. Every time I interacted with the cast member that day, they were just spectacular, and I just want to thank them for an awesome job because this magic, what we call the magic, would not be possible without them.
Right, 100%.
I mean, because and it was great, and I'm sure we all three did it. I don't know how many other guests did it. I would imagine quite a few did. Was that while the Tiki Room show was going on? I'm thinking, because obviously the Tiki Room is older than all three of us. I mean, I'm much older than you two. I hate it, but I am. I was born in 73, but I'm thinking, I'm into retro stuff and I'm into history. That's really my jam. And I was thinking, in the seat that I'm sitting in, how many people from how many corners of this planet have watched these animatronic birds, and these, the tiki drummers up in the, it's, at all times of the day, they've done this show at 9:58 in the morning. They've done this show at, on the 24-hour day, who knows, 3:12 in the morning, at every strike of the clock, at some point of the day, these things have happened for people for 50 years. That is people.
I mean, it was under new management at one point. But.
Well, that's true. Not as good of a show. Correct.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right, Mike. I thought about that, and so that's why like the attractions like didn't mean that much to me, to be honest. And I know like we did a lot of attractions that day, but like to me it was like the history of just being in the park, not necessarily like doing attractions, like just walking around the grounds is like what made that day special for me. It's just like, and then seeing the cast like and people watching the cast were so great. Like I thought I'd see more outrageous outfits. That's another thing where I was wrong on. Like there were some outrageous outfits.
There were some fantastic outfits. Like I saw so much gold and iridescence, like so many great outfits. But you're right.
I would see more though. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
There weren't as many as I was expecting because I mean it wasn't like like you see a lot more like on a Dapper Day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I'm just mad that I couldn't shoot weapons at the Frontier Shooting Gallery.
That was a classic move by Ricky. She's like, everybody, the shooting arcade's free. And I think it still is actually.
Yeah.
Then you're like, let's go shoot them. And then you run over to the arcade and no, the line was down by Pecos Bills.
Yeah, it was. I was like, let's go shoot some weapons at the Magic Kingdom.
So I am going to give, so let's talk about food a little bit. So I am going to give a shout out to Marlessa, who was up at 6 a.m. and got us a Crystal Palace ADR for like around 2:00 midday because that saved the day.
We'd all be the skull,
right.
Not because we're like laughing or because something was so funny, because we're dead.
Yes.
That ADR that day. So Scott, talk to us about that because that was a lifesaver.
Yep, that was a lifesaver. It was around 2:00, I think, 2:15 maybe. And honestly, that time worried me initially. And like, well, like what are we gonna do about dinner? But like, it was a buffet, and like me and Mike, the whole table, like we just went to town on that thing. Like I made this ice cream where the cast members like came over, started taking pictures of it. They were
nicely done.
Nicely
done. Yes.
But it was just great to get out of the heat because it was hot that day.
It was.
And like I felt like none of the air conditioning was working. Like,
no,
the Tiki
especially
room,
not in It's a Small World. Woo!
Yeah, Tiki room wasn't working. Carousel Progress. Like I was sweating more than that than I would on a marathon. It was so hot in there. But Crystal Palace though, they had the AC booming, which is really good. But it was nice to see the buffet back. So I went there earlier in the pandemic when it first opened, and they had like the prefix kind of thing. Yeah. You get the appetizer, dessert, and stuff. And I always loved that buffet. It was one of my favorites, and it was so great to see it back. It was funny though; they had like all these like Walt favorites in quotes. It was like Walt's chili, Walt's favorite chicken, Walt's favorite potato. It was just kind of funny, but it was
everything because I was excited because Scott had told me, he's like, dude, you gotta get the chili. It's Walt's favorite. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, because I'm a chili guy, right? I like chili. I'm like, I'm finally getting good Walt's chili. Then I go up to the buffet and no kidding, like I didn't notice that the first time I got Walt's chili because I just got the chili. I go back, it's like Walt's favorite mashed potatoes, Walt's favorite this, Walt's favorite corn. I'm like, dude, everything on here is Walt's favorite. If everything's his favorite, nothing's his favorite. Come on now.
That's true. That's true. It's his favorite corn. It's his favorite mashed potatoes.
You know what? Though?
But it was so good.
It was so good. It was almost like all comfort foods, like rib tips and stuff like that, and a carving station and mac and cheese.
And Elizabeth, so they had the chili by like the tots, and she ended up making like her own little tachos.
Oh,
and I don't know if it was like if it recommended that or if it suggested it or she did it on her own. I mean, she's pretty creative, but she put chili on top of those things.
Nicely
And
done.
She won the day with those. I'm just saying that's pretty. I'd already had so much I couldn't even do it. Like, and I was like, oh, you should have told me that 30 minutes ago.
But that was a great call. I mean, it was so hard to get an ADR. We talked about mobile ordering was a disaster.
It was awful
early in the day for a lot of our friends.
Yes.
But to have that table service was like our comfort blanket. Like it just got us that time to sit down, and like honestly that we overdid it too. Like Elizabeth like felt ill afterwards. Like we went to Town Square afterwards. Like we all felt like we were gonna pass out because it was so hot and we were so full. But it was a perfect call. And a great place to eat because it was their original restaurant too. So like that made it even more fun too.
True.
Right. And we really did. I mean, we kind of dumb lucked into a few, like, I don't think we had, planned to eat there because it was an original restaurant. We got there and it was, and, we started talking about it. We're like, hey, this, because I was thinking about the location, like this probably was here, because it's in, right off the hub. Okay. So we kind of gorged ourselves again, not because we're trying to do that, but because we're trying to sustain ourselves. Like we were starving because it was a late lunch and we didn't want to have to try to find a substantial dinner. Because the later in the day got, obviously people were going to be there for the first showing of Enchantment. So we were just like, okay, worst case, we get a pretzel or some kind of a, quick cart snackish kind of Mickey bar kind of thing later. So we were just full. I mean, like we were just like, dude, I can't do anything. So the next thing that we did was we had heard and we had seen that, and this is a pro tip, and it was in Ricky, we'll talk about this at the resorts too, but if you are an annual pass holder, for years and years, we've had these little yellow cards that are, Scott told, because I was asking Scott for a picture on Instagram, like, what do you call these cards? Like, is it your discount card if you're an annual pass holder? He's like, dude, that's your annual pass.
That's just your annual pass.
Yeah, that's just your pass. Yeah.
I just show it when I get a discount. If your annual pass, if something's on your Magic Band, it's in your My Disney Experience guy. He's like, no, that's the actual pass.
That's the actual annual pass, yeah.
Anyway, so the plastic annual pass, if you're an annual pass holder, they have a really cool design now. So what you can do at this point is go to guest relations. So if you're at the Magic Kingdom, City Hall, or you can do this at any of the 4 theme parks up front at Epcot and so forth, all the parks, and you can just exchange out your yellow card for this really cool looking new one that's got the golden Mickey statue. And it's easy. I kept telling Scott, I'm like, dude, I don't want to go to guest relations on October 1st at the Magic Kingdom. Are you crazy? But it wasn't bad because the thing was, we didn't want to get on a ride. We just wanted to, we're like, we'll just walk up there and see what it looks like. They had a lot of great cast members.
I would say they had like more cast members than you could count. It was awesome.
They were out there with their iPads. You didn't have to get into the building itself. Taking care of problems. I was having issues with My Disney Experience. Shocker right there. But I got to go inside the building, and actually cast member Jen, who is a friend of the show, I just happened to get at the desk, took care of a theme park reservation for me later in the trip. So shout out to Jen. Thank you so much. She always puts #fancy on her photos on Instagram. So fancy that we got that fixed so quickly. Thanks for the picture. So that was awesome. Yeah, but the thing was, everything that I thought would be a nightmare really wasn't, other than mobile ordering the food. And I think it's just that you had the savvy traveler on October 1st. So everybody's using mobile order,
well, they had to. I mean, there was no other way to do quick service really, except for mobile order.
Yeah.
So I think that was that was a small problem because, there was no way to, just get in line. Yes, the line would have been insanely long for food either way. But, because everybody had to get a mobile order to order food at quick service locations, that definitely put a strain on everything. So for sure.
So after we got our cards, to do that, if you're an air pass holder, get your cool looking.
They're super neat. Like it's just one cool, another like 50 of touch. They didn't have to do that, right? You could have just kept your original card, and then when it was time to renew, get a new one. But that's cool that you could just swap it out. I thought that was pretty neat.
It's super cool looking. And along those lines, if you're not an annual pass holder but you have a Walt Disney World resort stay, you can get a room key, even if you use your Magic Band or Magic Mobile, which you can use your phone to open your room, your door. Or I finally, shout out to Dr. Kai, who, after we spent like 3 hours just hanging out in the Odyssey the next day waiting for our Ratatouille boarding group, he showed me how to fix my watch so that I could get Mallory's annual pass or her ticket off my Apple Watch, so I can actually again use my Apple Watch for basically like a Magic Band. So I use Magic Mobile a lot. But even if you don't, you can go down to your desk at your resort and get a room key, because now the room keys are also kind of like the annual passes. They're marked out for the 50th with the iridescent characters. So do that even if it's just a souvenir. And if you're really nice, sometimes they'll give you multiple copies.
Mm-hmm.
I should have actually done that because I had Magic Band issues all week at the Contemporary. Like I actually could have used one of those
as a backup, right? It's just it's good to just pull out if you're having issues. But
I failed to do
anything for a souvenir. They're cool looking. But just sometime when you're passing through the lobby at your hotel, doesn't have to be at the beginning of your trip, doesn't have to be at the end of your trip, could be anytime. Just say, because you're entitled to it. Just ask for a room key and they'll give it to you. It's cool. Put it in your shadow box, whatever, box of memories. Okay, before we get to the fireworks, anything else, Ricky, that we're missing from the 50th? Because then we'll dive into enchantment.
Well, I mean, obviously, I didn't hang around.
Okay, so real quick, talk to us about how, because I was, well, Scott, go ahead. You got something. Go ahead.
I just had something where I was wrong on. You were talking about where did we get right, where did we get wrong? And maybe I try not to have high expectations in life, but
that's not good.
I know, but I did have some medium expectations for this, and I was actually just kind of disappointed. Like I stayed at the Contemporary for a reason, and I was really just, I don't know why I thought this, Mike and Ricky, but I thought they were going to have some type of 50th Contemporary merchandise. Like I knew, like,
cool. Yeah,
I knew that BVG was going to open at 9:00, so we're like wrapping up breakfast right around there. Like, all right, before we get on the monorail, we got to go to the shop. Like, I'm sure they're going to have some 50th Contemporary merch in there, and they didn't.
No.
Or like even like a pin. Remember when the Grand Destino was doing their construction at Coronado, you would get like the construction pins. I thought maybe they have like a 50th anniversary pin like in the room or something, But oh well. I mean,
and that's a big miss because the fans that were there on October 1st would have liked to have, I'm sure, gotten merch from the Polynesian and the Contemporary. I would have, even though I wasn't staying there.
But I did hear like Fort Wilderness had stuff though.
I know. Cool, I saw that. That's weird.
That is cool.
But you know what? Like we all know, like in this pandemic we've been living in, like it's hard. Supply chains is really difficult to get merchants. So maybe that was something that just didn't come in. Who knows? But either way, it was awesome to be there. But I was just hoping for like a little something for staying at the Contemporary on that day. But not a big deal. That was just something where I was wrong on.
I get it.
I agree. So now Scott tells me, I didn't know this, okay, because Ricky's gone all of a sudden.
I did. I disappeared.
Ricky didn't have lunch with us. So we all had lunch.
Nope.
That's kind of where we all separated. And so all of a sudden, Scott's like, and Pam, she was gone. Pam was doing media stuff for part of it.
Pam was with me.
Oh, Pam was with you. Okay.
Yes.
So we got all separated because we were together for a little bit. Were we together first on the?
Yeah.
We were.
Yeah. So my favorite memory of the day is when we were all together, actually, and we rode the carousel as like this huge group.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah,
we had like 18 adults like doing the carousel. It was like one of the coolest things.
Yes.
Well,
we were all together then.
Speaking of that was one of the biggest surprises that I had. The Magic Kingdom was completely full of adults. There were hardly any children in the Magic Kingdom on the first.
You're right. There were
like no kids. It was all adults at the Magic Kingdom on the first. Actually, it was pretty much all adults the whole weekend. I did not see a lot of children, so I thought that was very interesting.
I never thought about that until you just said that.
There were so many adults, no children. Yes,
that is interesting.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, so so real quick before we get into that's funny, Jeff, in the live chat. So too funny. Somebody met one of our listeners, thought they were Scott. We're a little disappointed, but we're whatever. That's that's too funny. Side story. Okay, okay. So real quick before we talk about enchantment, because Scott and I we kind of dumb lucked into a great spot, but we'll talk about that in a second. Scott tells me he's like, Pam and Ricky are doing 4 parks in one day today. I'm like, what?
Yes.
Like, on October 1st?
Yes.
Are they stupid? Like, are they crazy? What is wrong with them? Because I mean, I can't see Pam Forster doing 4 parks in a day. Ever.
We did.
Like, and you said you roll out at the first part. You weren't even out of bed till noon. You just said, I mean, come on now. You want to do 4 parks? Okay, so walk us through that because we only have about 10 minutes left in the show. So I want to make sure we get enchantment in. So quick how you get that done.
So we were starving, and obviously we knew we were not getting any food at the Magic Kingdom because mobile order was just not happening. So we decided to go over to the lounge we were gonna go to the Trader Sam's, but that was a 2-hour wait, and so we said no, we're not gonna do that. So then we hopped back on the monorail and we went over to Enchanted Rose. And of course, then we find out that that food was not being served until 5, and it was 3:30, and we're like, oh. So anyway, we just decided, okay, we'll just hang out here have a drink, and then we'll get food at 5 when it's open. And trust me, when it turned like 4:58, we were all like, all right, can we order food now? Let's go. We're hungry. So it was definitely like, we need food. So, and I definitely needed food, but so while we're sitting there, Pam and I were talking and we're like, I really don't want to go back to the Magic Kingdom and experience, because we knew that by the time we got back, the people would already be lining up for Enchantment. And I said, I do not want to go through that. I don't want to be crowded with that many people on Main Street USA. I'll just see Enchantment another night. And we said, let's go. We knew that they were debuting the Beacon of Magic at all 4 parks that night. So we decided, okay, let's go see, it was getting close to dusk. And we said, okay, let's go to Animal Kingdom to see their Beacon of Magic.
Which nobody, by the way, that was a phrase that no one else at Walt Disney World property uttered on October
on the 1st.
Let's go to Animal Kingdom at about 5 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This is correct, because we breezed right in. So we went to Animal Kingdom, and we went, and there was a decent sizable crowd. I mean, relatively speaking, for the first Beacon of Magic show. And we get there and we see it, and we're like, was that it? It was like a minute, and we're like, wait, was that all? And so then we hung out. We actually asked a cast member. We were kind of like starting to walk out, and we were asking a cast member, was that everything? And they were like, we have no idea. We haven't seen it before either. So it's like,
us too. We don't know.
It's like we couldn't tell if it was a glitch, like if something had happened, or what. So yeah, exactly. So we were like, so then we waited a couple more minutes, and then another. I guess there's like 2 sections of each Beacon of Magic show. Like there's one, and then they do another, like one short one, and then they do a somewhat longer one. But the somewhat longer one was not any more longer. It was only like a minute. So Beacon of Magic at Animal Kingdom is not much. Matter of fact, I think that the shows that they did for the holidays, like the Tree of Life Awakening, were way better than what they did for the Beacon of Magic. Is it cool? Yes. Is it pretty? Yes. It is not worth like just going over there to see. If you're at the park, and
if you're there,
yeah, exactly. You can see it. It's pretty. So then we decided, okay, well, let's go see the Beacon of Magic at Hollywood Studios at this point. We're like,
awesome.
We gotta go over there. So we actually hopped in an Uber because we had already at this point decided, okay, let's head over. So we went to the Uber, yes, and we got there, and again, like the Hollywood Tower of Terror is what's lit up, and we saw the show there. Again, it's like a minute, and so we're like, cool, that's it. So again, not something that, like, I thought the holiday shows that they, the 4 shows they have for the holidays are so much better. I'm really surprised that they didn't make this last like at least 2-3 minutes.
Here's why I think they might not, though, because they do show about every 15 minutes, so they can't make them long. And no kidding, here's what I'm thinking too. Instagram, you can put a video in your feed that's a minute or less, and I am not joking.
That's true.
Consideration.
Now that you mentioned the Instagram thing, you might be right.
In Instagram world, a lot of folks said, I heard this from quite a few people, that they got snacks this weekend, and they're gorgeous, like these 50th anniversary kind of snacky things. They're like, oh man, they're so cool. They didn't taste awesome, but
they looked pretty.
So cool. I heard that from like 3 or 4 different people. I mean, they were good, but they didn't taste as good as they're hoping. Yeah.
So then at that point, we decided, well, we've already hit up 3 parks. Epcot is open. It was like 8:45. Epcot's open until 10. Let's head over there. Harmonious was at 9:45. So we said, let's go. So we hopped on the Skyliner from Disney's Hollywood Studios, took that over to the International Gateway, and we went and we saw Harmonious. So we saw all 4 parks in one day. It was fantastic. It was not the original plan. If you would have told me even when I woke up that morning that I'd be going to all 4 parks in one day, I wouldn't have believed you. But nope, we sure did. We went to all 4 parks in one day. It was amazing. I'm so glad that we did it, because I mean, not many people can say they did that. So that was really cool.
So I've made the executive decision. How Friday's show is going to start is going to be with our experience, because we're going to do reviews, right? And the first one's going to be a review of Enchantment, and then we're going to get into Harmonious and some of the other dining that we did, and the beacons of light, especially Epcot, because we got to talk about that's
Epcot is the best.
Epcot.
I jokingly said to Pam, I said they spent all their money to put the beacon of magic up at Epcot, and then like, oh, I guess you should do this at all the parks. Right. Okay, we'll just do something. Just do something real quick
for that too for Friday. So we'll talk about that. We'll start off with kind of how this story ends. But here, kind of as we wrap up this show, because I want to keep these, reasonably length for everybody's commute and so forth and runs. So here's the thing, though, as we kind of wrap up being there on the 1st, it's so funny because in many ways it was what I thought it would be. It was about meeting friends. It was about hanging out. It was about getting that souvenir park map. It was about the Dapper Dans, up on the train station, and their set being about, you're in the most magical place on earth at the most magical celebration on earth. They had their new set and they were, really livid, bringing that up. And that gave me goosebumps. Like when you think about it as a Disney fan, this was the place that was just a mess, on October 1st, 1971. Nobody knew what this was going to be about, and here it was. This was before I was born, before all three of us were born, and some folks like Pam, she has pictures of her standing, as a little kid in these, very 70s clothes in front of some of the vehicles that are probably still. I remember, here's one of the things that I think being there on that day lent itself to. We're riding a lot of these original attractions. We did Carousel Progress. Honestly, we fell asleep because we ate so much at Crystal Palace and it was hot in there. That's why I think it got us. Like we did Small World together on the boat.
We did.
And I turned to Scott as we were riding Small World, and we're looking around at all, we pointed out our favorite Small World animatronic.
We did.
That's kind of one of the things we did on that attraction. But I turned to Scott and I said, like, do you think there are any animatronics in this building that were the original animatronic from 71? And I don't know, because
I think they are.
You think?
Just about. I mean,
wear and tear over 50 years. I can't imagine.
They may have been refurbed a little, but I think a lot of them are the same though.
Yeah. I think a lot,
which is awesome. It's awesome to think that, right?
Yeah, I agree with
that's the whole thing. I love thinking about whether there were or not. Like I'm thinking, how cool is it to think that something could, like, I mean, even if it's like a painting on the wall that hasn't changed since 71, even if it's not something that like moves, like just props and so forth that have been there like for every day of my life. Like they have been there entertaining guests. It blew me away. That's what this trip was about.
Yeah. The one thing that I made sure to do though, and as I was walking in, I went to the hub and I just went and said thank you to Walt, because I felt like that was the perfect thing to do in that moment, was to thank him. I said, I know you never got to experience this as it exists now, but it was your idea that brought us here. And so, I went and said thank you.
And thinking Roy was a big thing. A lot of people taking photos on the bench. Which unfortunately I couldn't even get on. There was a long line for that.
There's a long line for that. Yeah.
Well, there were lines for the weirdest things on October 1st.
There were.
Like there were lines you're like, where does this one go? Let's see where this one goes. Who knows? Because it's the egg roll cart.
Yes.
It's like, egg rolls. Yeah, exactly. But it was like, I have no regrets being there. It was so amazing. And it was better. The thing was like, you ask, like a lot of times, was it better or worse than you were expecting? In every way, for me, it was better, because the only thing I really think I could have been disappointed in was the merch. And the thing is, I'm not a merch guy. Like I'm really not. I don't collect. I'll be honest. My wife does not like clutter in our house. She does not like me to have any, like the Happy Meal toys. They're already in the storage room. I have an I-beam that kind of faces away from the main part of the house, and like she can't see it. So like I can only see it when I'm on the treadmill. So all the Happy Meal toys are up where she doesn't even know they're up in the ceiling. So they're up. Like I can't really put stuff in the house. So I have like very limited space where I can collect things. I got a hoodie like the last day, and I'm wearing it right now in the show, and I like it and I'll wear it. I got another shirt, stuff like that. But as somebody who doesn't collect merch, like everything was great because that's where everybody was. I got to ride rides, I got to be with my friends, got to meet listeners of the show, got to eat at new restaurants, which we'll talk about on Friday, got to see the new fireworks extravaganzas. I mean, it was Walt Disney World, but it was like I got to soak in that it was 50 years old, and I got to be there on that day. So wrapping it up, Scott, what were your thoughts on being there October 1st?
Yeah, it was just being in that moment. Just like the history that you're talking about. I see Michelle talking about, did we thank the cast members too? Like interacting with the cast members was a big thing. I talked about that earlier in the episode. Like I thanked them. I fed off their energy. I thought their energy was so great that day. And it was just just being in that moment, just saying I was there. That's why we had the date circled on the calendar 6-7 years ago, right? Was I just want to be there for that epic day, the 50th anniversary, and it met my expectations. It was awesome. It was just a memory I'll never forget. Just hanging out with some of our best friends, minus my daughter. I missed having Emily. I'm sure you missed having Pam and the girls. That was and Brian. Like that was the tricky part, right? But sometimes like life happens where like other engagements happen and you can't have them. But I was happy to have my extended family, you all there with me to celebrate that great day.
100%. You guys are my extended family, and that's what it was about. So, Ricky, final thoughts, then we're going to get out of here. We'll pick it up as we got over to Enchantment on Friday's show.
Yeah, I agree. It was everything that I had hoped it would be. Honestly, it was a day about camaraderie, about being with like-minded people. Like, we've seen, I've seen posted in the chat. It was a day about celebration. It was a day about just enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying everything, and like you said, being with friends. That was the most important thing to me. And yeah, of course I missed my family, but being there with you guys was what I wanted, and all the friends that we've made along the years, and like you said, those who stopped and said hello to us too, the new friends that we now have. And it was a day of friendship, and that's something that I will always treasure. And you're right, I have had this circled on the calendar for 10 years, and it was everything I hoped it would be. It was a great day.
Totally agree. So as we close out this show, I just want to send a shout out to all the cast members over the past 50 years, Roy, Walt, everybody, all the Imagineers, everybody who brought us a place like Walt Disney World that we could talk about, here on the podcast for almost 14 years at this point. All the friends that we've met because of the podcast, because we found a place like Walt Disney World, all the cruises we've gone on together, all the experiences that we've had, it's because of a place like Walt Disney World being in our lives. I know it's not perfect. It's expensive. There's decisions that have been made that are controversial. Lord knows.
Right.
Thanks for taking 50% of my earned money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Keeps me employed because I got to keep working every day, all day, so that I can afford to go there. But yeah, it's just one of those things, though. It's just a huge celebration that we all get to have these great memories in our life. I got the pictures of my daughter 6 months old on Main Street, USA, in front of the castle. And just pictures from all walks, she ran a 5K with me. You've run with your daughter, Scott, we've all run, different races and done cool stuff and been in weddings and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, yeah, it's just celebration. So we're going to talk more about it on Friday. Actually, I want to lead it off with kind of some fun stuff to talk about too. But until then, don't forget today's show always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. And we'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation. Of course, we can really help you out because we've been there. Pam was there for all the media stuff. So we have some of the insider information as far as what's coming. And we've seen Enchantment. We've seen Harmonious. We can help you with that. We've eaten at Steakhouse 71. We've eaten at Space 220. We've done a lot of the stuff that you're going to be curious about, and we're going to help you plan that trip so you get the most out of your vacation. So drop by themagicforless.com. We'll help you plan that trip. Just fill out the quote form, mention the BOGP, and it's going to come right to me, and we'll be planning that trip together. Again, themagicforless.com. Please also use that Amazon affiliate link. Apparently, it's like Black Friday in October because of the supply chain. I don't know what's going on, but all I know is if you click through that link, it just takes you right to the Amazon site, and it really helps us out. So again, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our patrons who support the show. You guys keep us going. I can't do it without you, and I really do appreciate you. Again, it's all about community, and I wish I could give you a handshake, a big hug. Thanks for supporting us and allowing all this fun stuff to happen. If you'd like to get Mike in the Midwest, our bonus show every Thursday, just drop by patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. If you want to see some amazing shots from the weekend, you can check out my Instagram and Twitter at beourguestmike. You can check out Scott's at epscott, EPSCOT. You can check out Ricky's at Ricky Nibs, RIKKINIBS. And at beourguestpod as well. And of course, subscribe to the show, follow the show on Facebook and YouTube. We go live. And again, no live show this Sunday night because hopefully I'll be driving south on Interstate 55 with a metal. Who knows? It's going to be hot. It's going to be crazy. And it's Chicago. That's like our rival city. So
right.
I don't know how Sunday's going to go.
Good luck, Mike.
Yeah, good luck, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Joe Laszlo sent me a gif. It was like the Blues Brothers. Like, we're 106 miles from Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. We're wearing sunglasses. Good luck. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, Blues Brothers. All right, so we are going to get out of here. But again, we're going to pick the story up right as we left off on Friday. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. that was a fun one. That was really good. That's what I was hoping for. Okay, let me get this one saved. Dude, I'm hungry. Episode.
I love that magic shot. I might talk about that in this episode too.
Which
I
one?
mean, like, well, they had us like blowing like confetti, basically. Like it was the.
I think they did that with us too.
It's so cool.
I haven't seen it yet.
And they have like an iridescent pop. You probably can't see this, but
Dang it! What a. Oh yeah, no, I haven't done this in a week, and I forgot to do it.
I do remember them telling us to do that. Let me see if I can find that picture. I forget when I did it, but I definitely did it.
Yeah, I saw it sat next to two ladies on the Plan Disney panel, and they were talking about how they missed that. One of them got that magic shot, and one did, and they were mad.
Oh,
it was super cool.
I thought how you looked like you had a tie on the one shot.
Yeah, well, there's like a Mickey piece, like right there. It looks like a tie.
They're cracking me up. They're like, yeah, our Southwest changed our flight to Pittsburgh. We had to go through St. Louis, and St. Louis is actually a longer flight from Orlando to St. Louis than it is from Orlando to Pittsburgh. So they're kind of fired up. But they're like, we were hoping like Pam would be on the flight because they'll see the show. I'm like, well, I mean,
you got me.
I know, like I'm no Pam.
I know they were disappointed in you
the whole way. That was fun. We talked about all the stuff they do, all the questions.
Oh, I got that one. It was with Steve and Pam and me. That's where we did it. We did it at the Tree of Life.
Nice.
Got it. Oh, that one is cute.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's almost saved. I'm getting a new computer here soon because this thing is so old. God, this thing's over 10 years old and it's running Windows 7.
Oof.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that might be my new background for my phone.
Breaking news in the podcast studio. Ricky's getting a new background.
I know, I am. It's been Figment for forever, so I'm.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Here we go. 1978.
Let's do this thing.
Here we go. Welcome to episode 1978 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. And this Friday, not as crazy as last Friday, but hey, can't always be celebrating 50 years of Walt Disney World. But hey, we are celebrating 50 years of Walt Disney World here for the next, I would guess, 22 or so months. And I want to talk about that here as we start today's show. But let's get the crew introduced so we can continue right along where we left off on Friday, where we were making our way from guest relations, from the Carousel of Progress. It's starting to get dark, and we're getting ready to watch the first ever viewing of Disney's Enchantment at the Magic Kingdom. Joining us, the woman who was not there. She was doing 4 parks in one day. She was running all over, catching Ubers, seeing beacons of light here, there, and everywhere. We have Ricky. Ricky, what's going on?
You know, I'm sad I'm not in Walt Disney World this weekend, but it's good to be here. So, I mean, you know, I had such a great time, and I'm still catching up on life. So it's nice to be home for a weekend, I have to admit. But I definitely still wish I was in Walt Disney World. Yeah.
I'm in Chicago this weekend.
Oh, well.
The Windy City, they call it.
Fun for you.
We'll see how that goes. I know. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Also joining us. Speaking, I'm closer to Scott. Not too close, but kind of close. He's up in the mitten there, and I'm in the Windy City. Hashtag Scotty G joining us. What's up, Scott? Happy Friday.
Hey, Mike, the only thing dividing us is a giant body of water called Lake Michigan.
I'll be running right along, apparently, and hopefully give me a little.
It's awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. On Lakeshore Drive there, running along. That'd be sweet. But yeah, I mean, last Friday was awesome. Would love to be there hanging out with friends. But the way I look at it is like, I'll be back in about 3 weeks or wine and dine. So
yeah, I know. I'm back next
4
weekend.
weeks. I'll be there in 4 weeks. Yeah.
I'm back next weekend.
By the way,
not a joke. I will be back next weekend.
Everybody gets training because wine and dine sneaking up super fast. I'm just saying.
It is. I really do the training for that sucker.
It was all about, like, they tweeted that Run Disney put that Instagram post out during like the 50th anniversary weekend. I know it was 30 days like from that. dude, wait till everybody gets home. Like, don't do that while everybody's down there eating everything they can. Dude, don't kill the butt. Like everybody's having a good old time. Don't say like, hey, guess what? In 30 days, the first race that Run Disney's had in like 2 years. Easy there.
I stepped on the scale after that Walt Disney trip over the 50th, and that was the heaviest I've ever been.
Oh my God, I do not.
That was a number I didn't even know existed.
Dude, what do you don't do that.
I don't know what I was thinking.
That was a bad. Okay, I was going to ask us real quick before we dive into kind of continuing the story, and kind of this one's going to be more reviews of some of the first time stuff we did. Let's give a tip. And I got an email from listener Scott, not Scott Gardner, listener Scott earlier today as we're recording, and he was asking, he's going to be in like Destin this week, and he wondered if it was worth it to go down to Walt Disney World for like a day because he saw the coverage of us, that we did with the pictures and the videos and all this stuff on social media, and he's getting some FOMO, but he's going to be there for wine and dine. And he was asking me, like, is it worth driving 3 hours down, 3 hours back for one day so that I can be there for the 50th even earlier? And my answer was no. I was like, I think actually it might even be better come wine and dine because I don't think they're going to take away anything that's there right now. Like if you go down tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be much different than it will be, the first weekend in November. Plus, you're going to have all these new experiences that are coming online. Like you can go see Yeehaw Bob at, Riverside. Riverside will be open. Hopefully the boats will be running to Disney Springs. The meet and greet, modified meet and greets will be back. Maybe you'll get some Indiana Jones, live entertainment's coming back, more and more of that stuff. So I don't know. Did I make the right call? Do you think, Ricky? I mean, is there anything he's going to be missing by not going this week? Wait until November, waiting a month.
I mean, I've done it. I legit drove down like 2 weeks ago for the Remy's Ratatouille Adventure annual pass holder preview, even though I knew it was coming down for October 1st. I mean, it worked out because I didn't end up getting to ride it on October 2nd because I'm dumb. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I was still glad that I still drove down for that. And, I mean, I've done it. So, I mean, I'm not the right person to talk to.
I would advise Scott not to like enjoy Destin. I'm sure there's like another reason he's in Destin, maybe like a beach trip, relaxation. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing relaxing about driving 6 hours round trip to, do like a quick rip of the parks and then come back when you're going to be there in 4 weeks for wine and dine. So I would say enjoy the time in Destin is the route I would go for sure.
Yeah, I know that, when we do these trip reports, everybody gets amped up and like you start, because I get the same way. Like you hear about this, like, oh my gosh, I'm going in January or I'm going in December and I got to get there now because I'm going to miss out. Just take a deep breath. This is more than a year-long celebration.
Yes,
you're going to get, the golden statues are going to be there. Iridescent merchandise will be there. These new trade floats with the iridescent characters will be there. This stuff's going to be there. You're going to get the cupcakes. You're going to have a great time. You're going to be in on the 50th celebration almost just as much as we were. We did a couple extra things that happened on the first, but the thing is that ship has sailed anyway. Like you're not the October 1st stuff back. Period. It wasn't that much more anyway. So really, if you're going in the next year, you are going to have a spectacular time celebrating 50 years of Walt Disney World. Don't have any regrets. You're going to have a blast. So don't even sweat that. I'm just telling you. Okay, Scott, real quick, you had a tip for folks that I wanted to throw out there before we dive in. So go into that because we were talking about that at the end of Wednesday.
I can't remember what that tip was, Mike.
You might have to ring photo pass, maybe you're talking about.
Oh yes, that's right. So there's some new magic shots too with the 50th anniversary, which are really cool. So I'm not the one that likes to ask for the magic shot because I feel like it's almost like less magical that way. You know what I mean? But
I get that. Yeah.
But I would definitely ask for these, and I'm going to ask for them again if they don't offer it. But basically, it's a 50th anniversary where they'll like kind of blur it out to make it iridescent. Like in the background, they'll put these like little colors at the top and bottom, kind of like a portrait mode kind of shot. I feel like with an iridescent background. But my favorite was they asked me and Elizabeth to like stick out our hand and kind of blow into our hand. And like, I don't know what's happening here. I hope it's cool. And then I open a photo pass later. I'm like, oh man, it was super cool. We're like blowing out confetti for the 50th, like a big celebration, like yay. And it was one of my favorite photos of the trip, minus the photo bombing session of people covering their eyes while me and Elizabeth were kissing and Pam and Steve were kissing on Main Street. Those are fun, but it's an awesome magic shot. Highly recommend everyone ask for that one. Very cool.
I had nobody to kiss in that picture. So,
but they put Tinkerbell in your hand.
They did. They gave me Tinkerbell, which I didn't. I just held. It was kind of boring. Yeah, I didn't have anybody to kiss. Anyway, my lady was back home. All right, Ricky.
I'm really glad. By the way, I'm really glad that I wasn't in this picture and that they didn't think that we were a couple and that we should kiss. And I'm really glad that that didn't happen.
What were we doing? We were doing something.
I was not with you.
No, at some point though, you and I were doing something where I was worried they would think we were a couple, and I made it clear right as we
were on the Skyliner. And we were talking to a couple.
Talking to two other couples.
Yes.
Right. And if we would have not made that clear from the get, that would have been a really weird story. Yes. That's right. Because we're riding with two other couples and we were talking about stuff. And if we would have not clarified that we were
not a couple
and not a couple, that story would have been weird on like so many levels. So yes, that was it. I was like, we are friends before
we are friends, yes. Not together.
Do you remember that? I remember preemptively having to clarify that. Okay. Do you have any tips? And then let's jump back into where we were. Anything else?
Yes, we did. We definitely had to do that. Okay. So my tip is I think I mentioned it, obviously at the end of the last show, but I didn't see the Beacon of Magic show at the Magic Kingdom, but I assume it's probably part of the nighttime spectacular of Disney Enchantment. But the show that you should go see is the one on Spaceship Earth. You should absolutely make it a point to see the Beacon of Magic for Spaceship Earth. It is gorgeous. Pictures do not do it justice. It's just this, the colors and the lights are just so bright and vivid, and it's simply stunning. So you want to make sure that you are standing. I would honestly say make sure you're standing in that main entrance plaza to see the show. I mean, yes, you can see it in other places, but they do some special things with lighting and stuff like that on the monorail beams. So I would say definitely want to be in that main entryway for the Beacon of Magic there. My other tip is if you're at Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, don't make a point to see the Beacon of Magic, but if you catch it, it's all good.
So just since we're on that, just real quick, I mean, yeah, the flex is if you are any kind of an Epcot fan, especially like an old Epcot fan,
yes,
Future World fan, not the whole new, creation or,
World celebration
and discovery, yes, and, nature and all. If you're just like old 80s Epcot, because there's music that plays and it's a little bit longer than the other ones. This is a couple minutes long. The show, the Beacon of Light for Epcot, you do need to stand in the entry plaza. You need to step back. You got the new fountain with the logo, and it photographs beautifully. But again, like Ricky said, it doesn't even do it justice to what you see. And the thing is, especially while we were there, like the background loop is unique, but it feels like something you would have heard in Interventions back in the day. It fits the old Epcot feel. I mean, it gave me goosebumps. And then the monorails go by, and the underlighting of the monorails matches the color of the monorail. So when monorail green goes by, there's green LED lights that light up the beam as it goes by.
So cool.
That's my favorite part.
Oh my God. Well, we were joking. It reminds me of like 2002, like a Suzuki Samurai that was lowered. It was illegal to drive with those lights on, but I always wanted them. My dad wouldn't let me get them. He's like, dude, you'll get tickets all the time. I was like, but I want those on my car. Everybody wanted them. But yeah, I mean, it's probably something so simple, but I mean, it just like when there's a monorail that's snaking by Spaceship Earth and you got these lights all over. And the thing is, there's, I don't want to spoil it because I mean, you've probably seen it on social media, maybe you're staying away from it. But there's actually a nod to Illuminations, which Neil pointed out.
Yes, there is.
Might not have seen otherwise during the Beacon of Magic on Spaceship Earth. But
yes,
I mean, it's stunning. And one of the things I said, I want to see this from the plane if I have a night flight. Because I mean, no kidding, Spaceship Earth is so bright.
Yeah, it is.
That you have to be able to see this on your takeoff. I mean, if you're,
Beth and Elizabeth saw it from the Skyliner. They were because I was remember I felt bad because we separated it was like a race. Who's going to get there first, the car or the bus kind of a thing. We won on the bus. But they were like, oh, and I felt bad. Oh, man, I'm not seeing this. I'm seeing this with Elizabeth and Beth. And they're like, oh, no, we can see it from the Skyliner. It looks pretty awesome. So there's so many angles you can see it from.
But if you're any kind of an Epcot fan, and I know, maybe you don't make it, because the thing is, very few of us make it to the very front of Epcot at night unless you're catching a bus because you're leaving. I mean, most people end up in the back of Epcot because you're walking back to, Yacht Beach, Boardwalk, or going on the Skyliner, what have you. But I'm telling you, this is worth going up there, have the camera, and get PhotoPass pictures because they have the good cameras that can get night shots with, you know, they have the settings right. So use PhotoPass if you have it. Just get it on your memory maker because they'll give you some great shots. So okay, that's out of the way because we talked about because that's the one. If you're gonna do the one at Cinderella Castle was pretty cool, but I mean Epcot, awesome. Okay, so okay, let's get back to we're at Magic Kingdom where we left you off on Friday. Previously on the Be Our Guest podcast, we were stuffed from Crystal Palace.
We should have said to be continued.
like that old font, like on the
yes.
Gotta have like a cliffhanger.
Something. Yeah, exactly.
Scott was purchasing a pretzel, and then he got out his magic band and it said declined. Tuned in to see how I guess this pretzel.
Will Scott starve before we get to the next stand? No, so yeah, we did. That was what we were doing. We got snacks because we were worried we'd get hungry later. And the last thing you want to do at Walt Disney World, though, late at night is not have a snack. I was not hungry. I was still stuffed, but Scott's like, dude, get a Mickey pretzel and some cheese and throw it in your backpack. And I did, and it paid off later because I had it in my room. So anyway, we get that. Now I'm getting antsy. I'll be honest. I love being early. Like I'm an early bird. And people are waiting. People are already just for the record.
Yes.
There was a couple that staked out their spot for Enchantment at 10 o'clock that morning, right in front of the castle on a blanket. Now it was blazing hot, and the concrete right there is like a light concrete where it just reflects the sun. Oh, I don't even know if those people are still alive. Like,
yeah, right.
I didn't check. But anyway, so it was probably, what was it, about 7:30, Scott? Like when we started meandering over?
I'd say that's about right. Yep.
Okay. So there's a group of what? 5 of us?
So I think there were 7. We lost a couple members because they were going to get food and go see a friend.
Right.
We lost Florence, I believe.
Yes.
in all of this. Yeah.
So the plan was, at this point, like, it's like 7:30 and the fireworks are like at 9. Right. So we're just like, I know we're not getting a great spot. So I came up with a plan. I said, here's what we're going to do. We were at that pretzel cart in the hub that's kind of between Adventureland and Liberty Square. So I said, we'll walk towards Casey's, and where, Main Street is there by Casey's. We'll make that right-hand turn and just walk down Main Street, and wherever we can find a spot where that'll hold, like, our group, we're just going to stop and take that spot. No matter how, we'll probably have to go all the way back to the train station at this point. But you know what? It's kind of late. It's the first showing. We'll just make the best we can. We'll see it again in November, or, later in this trip, whatever. And everybody's cool with that. We're lucky. We get to go a lot. We're very laid back. So we get to that intersection there. Of course, tons of cast members directing traffic, people carrying hot dogs and pretzels and ice cream. It's, everybody's been there, right? That's like it's like Grand Central Station with strollers, and it's just an accident waiting to happen every 2 seconds. We get there, and this cast member is like, if you want to see the fireworks, walk toward the castle. And I said, I think I'm like Elizabeth, I turned to, and I'm like, I just kind of looked at her, and she was going to say something. I'm like, no, just let's go. I just said, go. Don't overthink this, because at this point, they put the tape out on both sides of Main Street USA. So the people are like, they're lined up and down Main Street USA from the castle all the way back down Main Street, but they keep the middle part of Main Street empty right at this point. What they were doing, dumb luck. I'm not kidding. This was total dumb luck that we happened to be there. This was the point where they decided to fill in the middle of Main Street and push everybody forward. So we got to just go right up to Main Street. And I mean, we were probably 20 yards behind the partner statue, dead in the middle of Main Street. Now we had to stand there for probably 90 minutes, maybe, hour and 45,
75 minutes, maybe, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, shoot, we had a great spot.
Yes, we did.
It was awesome. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was hot. People were tired, but I mean, it got a little rowdy there, but it was kind of a fun rowdy.
It got rowdy.
People don't like to be in crowds, but I mean, you knew that was how it was going to be on October 1st. So what did you think, Scott, as we were kind of building up for the fireworks show?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, the hardest part for any of this, especially when you're crammed together, is it hurts to stand on your feet that long. When you're not walking. It's so different than walking, right?
Yes.
I'd rather walk for 75 minutes than stand for 75 minutes. So you got kind of stiff, and they got tight, so you couldn't even like move around. Unfortunately, there was a person behind me that was sitting down, so Elizabeth kept like pushing, like making me not step back because I was going to step on this poor person. Eventually, they did have everyone stand up, but it was exciting, like we were like, man, we're about to see history, like I know they did the media showing the night before, but like, man, we're going to be like the first like day guests to see this show. Like we got a prime spot. Like we're just getting pumped. The problem was we couldn't share that excitement with any of our friends outside the 5 of us because you could not get any kind of internet signal at all. Mike's freaking out about a high school football game that's happening at the time.
Right, I know, because it's like going back and forth. Because the only way you couldn't get it, you could barely get a text message out. You couldn't do anything on social media. Actually, I was calling my wife, I think, at one point, because the only thing that was working was like the cell phone, like a phone call. Because I was trying to get, because it was our high school homecoming game. We ended up losing, boo, first loss. But it was one of those things that we just enjoyed each other's company. So I want to get all this in. So I loved Harmonious, and I didn't know what to expect.
You mean Disney Enchantment?
Sorry, yes, I loved Enchantment.
I know where that's going.
I had seen Harmonious the night before. We're going a little bit out of order here. But on October 1st, we saw Enchantment. I loved it. I mean, we had a great spot, though. I really think where you stand for Enchantment matters a lot. And we had a great spot because we were dead onto the castle. Not a whole lot of spoilers, but I will say, again, it's a lot of those music. It's a medley of songs from popular, very similar to Happily Ever After, a medley of popular Disney movie songs. But the projections, oh my gosh, like Happily Ever After really projected stuff on the castle well. This takes it to another level. I didn't see stuff on Main Street because, again, it was just a sea of humanity behind us. I mean, it was just nuts. Like, I kept looking back, but I didn't want to miss stuff on the castle. Spoiler alert, I think you probably know this. Tinkerbell is still in this new show. So that was cool. I didn't want to miss that. Yeah, I'm sorry. She is in the new show, so you can sleep well tonight. So I didn't want to miss that. I didn't know when she was coming out. So I was always like on edge, like, because like even in Happily Ever After, I knew she was in the show, and I always like did I miss her? And I was like, no, it's this part. But I thought it fit perfectly for the Magic Kingdom. I know it got some lukewarm reviews from folks, but I really did like that. I turned to Scott. I said, because there's a couple like pauses in the show after the first part. I'm like, dude, I like that part so far. And then I was like, oh, I still like it. So, and I liked it a lot. I mean, it was a good little show. So Scott, what was your thoughts on it?
Before I share my thoughts, there was something I have to share that Ricky's going to love, and the guests that listen, the listeners are going to love this story because we've talked about this leading up to the 50th. We've had so many like, what ifs? Do you think this will happen? So we're sitting there for like 75 minutes or whatever. It's crammed, we're jam-packed. Beth starts talking to this couple, like these 2 girls behind us, and asked them like how their day was. We're just making conversation with people. It was the first visit they've ever made, and they had no idea that it was the 50th anniversary.
Oh my gosh!
I forgot about that. Yeah, because we always talked about like, is anyone going to be in there and not know what's happening, right?
Yep.
And I mean, they're like in the dead.
Oh my gosh!
Magic Kingdom, because we were like right in the middle of the pub.
But you want to know someone? They bailed. They did. They ended up bailing. They're like, we're too tired. We got to go.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Wow.
But yeah, I didn't. Wow. That was just so funny to me that we found the 2 people that showed up that had no idea.
Got it.
About that. They're like, we're out of here, man.
They had a fun day though because like. They were more focused on attractions,
right?
Which
I'm sure. Yeah, they had a great day. Yeah.
So they I'm glad they had a good time because that's always something that worries about me. Like I just want people to always have a magical time, and I'm happy those 2 did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going to the show, I thought it was a great show. I thought the projections were outstanding, as you said, Mike. The fireworks were great. I did keep turning around because like. I just remember like Disneyland Forever had these great projections down Main Street at Disneyland. And I feel like that's what Enchantment's going to do. So I kept turning around to catch a glimpse of the projections. It was hard to do because like I kept turning around, my jaw would drop to see like how many people were behind us.
Right.
So I definitely want to see it like further back for sure. You talked about the music. That's where my disappointment is right now. And you know what? I feel like a lot of shows take multiple listens, multiple viewings to really appreciate what it is. So the music was a little flat for me. But I'll see it more times and maybe it'll grow on me a little bit. But the one thing that really disappointed me, and I don't know if this was ever in the plans or what, but like I wanted some Walt. I wanted it to be more about Walt Disney World for being like a 50th show, especially on the 50th. I wanted it to be like a special tag.
Yeah, I get that. That I get 100%. Yeah.
So I thought there was going to be some kind of, Epcot will have the blessing of size or like some kind of like little tidbit or something in there,
Yeah.
It didn't, but that doesn't mean that the show is bad because like I wanted that, right? I want, and they want to build the show that's for all guests. And some people might be like, well, why is this man talking? Who's that? Who knows, right? Yeah. But overall, I thought it was a good show. I did see it the next night from the pool at the Contemporary, which was awesome as well. Like I didn't have the music or anything, but I got to see the fireworks. But the firework blasts are outstanding, and I can't wait to see it again. But I will say I had some slightly disappointing spots, but I'm looking forward to catching more viewings of it.
It's a good point. I think with these fireworks shows, which we're going to get into with Harmonious next, is that you got to give them time, I think, and multiple viewings. Because again, like I was bitter on Happily Ever After the
Me
first
too.
couple I saw it. And I think it's because I had such a connection to Wishes.
Yep. And that was mine. And then I don't think I cared for this one so much because I started getting a connection to Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
It took Happily Ever After grew on me so strongly because
it just helps when you know the songs and what's like the breaks in the songs like kind of help. But there's one point like I was going do like I thought they were going to go into Hercules. So I'm like, oh, why aren't they doing that?
That's part where I started to cry. So because that's my marathon song. Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah. So I really liked it. Scott was okay. Okay, so Ricky, you haven't seen it from the park yet, so
nope.
we'll
I saw it from the Skyliner a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk Harmonious. I saw it twice. Scott, you saw it twice.
I only saw it. I saw like I don't know if it was like a soft preview or whatever. I saw it on the 30th, the day before the first. So I only saw it the one time.
Was that the time I saw it with you from Japan?
Yep, I saw it from Japan. You saw it another night. You saw it on the second as well after Space 220.
Canada and Japan. Did you, Ricky? How many times you saw it with me at Canada?
Twice.
So you saw it twice. Okay, so Ricky, you give us your thoughts first on Harmonious.
I actually don't mind Harmonious. I think that the idea behind it is very good. I like that it is celebrating Disney songs and the way that they impact culture around the world. So I really appreciated that aspect of the show. I enjoyed very much most of the songs that are in Harmonious. I think that that part is done very well. I like that they have different voices singing. So like in the Mulan section, they're singing Chinese. In the section with Coco, they're singing in Spanish and things like that. So I enjoyed that they took like the cultural aspect and really wove it into the different Disney songs to kind of make it flow. There are a few songs that I don't have a real connection to that I felt like they really based a lot of Harmonious on a certain time period in Disney history in which I was not a Disney movie fan. So I feel like they like that late 90s, early 2000s part. I was, in high school at that time, and I was not into, watching Disney movies. So there's a really heavy Mulan section, which I don't have as much of a connection to because Mulan was not a movie that I really watched back then. There's a really heavy Hunchback of Notre Dame section, which again, I don't have like a super big connection to. Actually, I feel like there's maybe a touch too much Hunchback in this film or in Harmonious. But with all that being said, I really did enjoy the show. I enjoyed a lot of the aspects of it. I thought the Coco scene, my favorite scenes were honestly the Coco scene, the scene with the Lion King. I thought that was fantastic. And I really, really love the Princess and the Frog scene. Princess and the Frog is one of my favorite Disney movies. It is so underrated. I love the music from that film. It is fantastic. So whenever like a Princess and the Frog song comes on, I'm like jamming out because I absolutely adore that film. So, I definitely think there were some good aspects of Harmonious. And then there are definitely a little bit slower parts, but I think that they're slower for me because I just don't have that connection to those films right now. Now, like you said, Scott, I think that as time goes on and I start to, watch Harmonious more and more, those parts will start connecting with me a little bit more too, because then I'll start getting the connection of those songs with that show. Right now my connection is with the songs that I know very well. So I really like Harmonious. I think that it's good. And I didn't get like the best views of it, mostly because I'm short and because, I kind of rolled up, at the end of, getting ready to see the show. So like, I haven't figured out where the best spot is to watch Harmonious or where, and I definitely wasn't on the edge. So I had to peer over people's heads. But I like the show. I think it's really good overall. So
So I will say on this one, if you can get is the dessert parties come back at Epcot or like a dining package where they have preferred viewing for the show, I think that's going to impact your enjoyment of the show greatly. Because if you have prime viewing of this show, I think that's going to help your enjoyment quite a bit, because we saw it in Japan. I also saw it with Ricky. I saw it in Japan with Scott, with Ricky in Canada, kind of right there by the Canada, by the cheddar cheese soup for the Food and Wine Festival.
Yes.
And not great views at either location.
I agree with that. Both those locations.
Really see a whole lot of what was going on the screens. And I will say, let me preface this because I don't want to sound negative, because you guys know I'm pretty positive on things. And here's what I'm going to say about Harmonious is that I understand that Disney Imagineering and Disney Creative is not creating every show, every attraction, every race theme for Mike Rallman, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a 47-year-old guy, I have a family, and I'm not going to be the demographic for everything. And I'm 100% fine with that, because I am who I am is a very small, very, very teeny tiny subset of the Disney audience. This show, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, as all podcasts are, but I think sometimes podcasts are all just a bunch of opinions that aren't facts, which ours is definitely a bunch of opinions. So don't think this is fact. The thing is that this show was written and created for the Disney Plus kind of, the fan, because that's a wide variety of movie fans and streaming fans. And I think this is a show for kids. It's a kid's show, which is great, because Walt Disney World's a kid destination, because it's from these kid movies. And I'm not a movie fan. I thought it was very pretty, but I hate to say this, and I hope it grows on me over time, but 20 minutes was extremely long. Like, I was watching SportsCenter highlights. Like,
he was. I can vouch for that. He was standing behind me watching SportsCenter.
Long. And I think if I could see it at a better perspective, that would definitely help. I would say the show's 20 minutes long. If they could cut it to 12, I think then we're making improvements, and really tighten it down.
And I think they could do that if they maybe cut a little bit of the Mulan section and a little bit of the Hunchback section. I think those are the two slower sections of that show. And I think that if they broke those down a little bit more and pumped up the.
Well, because here's the thing. Yeah. Let me finish. So if you cut it down to 12 minutes, you could have more intense pyros like throughout the show. Like, you don't have to slow the pyros down for 20 and kind of, it's like running a marathon or a sprint, right? If you have a 12-minute show, it's going to be more of like a boom, 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 intense sprint with, and everybody's gonna be like, where 20 minutes for a nighttime spectacular, which I think Illuminations was about that time. But again, people complained about Illuminations, about that globe part, which was so slow. And I mean, I even got that. I'm the biggest Illuminations fan. And everybody checked their text messages while the globe was doing its thing. I know. I mean, I do it sometimes. I mean, I loved Illuminations was the greatest. But the thing is, like, and again, Scott said it right. Like, I got to see it from different perspectives. Where I saw it both places, not perfect. I had a tree in my way both times, partially obstructed, but it's just the music, that one totally missed on me. Like, one song I liked, and I did put it on my marathon running list, that one from Coco. That's pretty peppy. I like that song. That was a cool song. I had no idea what that was, but it was a great song. But it's a miss for me right now. Maybe it'll grow on me. But again, I'm not saying it's a miss for me is what I'm saying. But here's the thing. I'm not criticizing Disney at all for this show. It's okay for something to be a miss for Mike Rallman, because Disney doesn't have to do everything for Mike Rallman. There were kids dancing and cheering and Scott, people, because after I didn't really love the show, and I wanted to because of the barges and because it's in the middle of Epcot, like, I wanted to just like, oh God, I love this show. I was dying to just like hug this show at the end. So all the time you can ask the ladies I was riding the plane home on, after on my flight home, what'd you guys think of Harmonious? What'd you think of Enchantment? Like, would you compare them to what you saw before? That's what I've been asking everybody, even emailing people when I got home, just because I want feedback on what people think. And, it's fine, because some people love it. Some people are kind of, I don't know, Scott. So final thoughts on Harmonious, so we'll move on to some other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go too much longer because you two just gave in-depth reviews, but my short version is I like Harmonious a lot. I liked it better than Enchantment. So if I had to pick between the two, I'm picking Harmonious. It reminds me of World of Color a lot, and I love World of Color at Disney's California Adventures. It's World of Color with some pyro, basically.
Yeah, I get that.
I think though you hit on this too, Mike. You got to be a little bit closer. You got to be on the rail to see the screens, and that's kind of like what World of Color is with the fountains and all that. I love the music. I love the Hunchback scene. I love the Coco scenes. I love the start of it. Like it started with Lion King, and it was like a sunrise. Like it started kind of light, and then it got darker. It was a really cool effect how it started like the show as a sunrise. I thought I got goosebumps actually when I first saw that. Definitely want to see it some more from different perspectives. I thought it was great. But I miss Illuminations so much. Illuminations was the greatest show of all time. And I love the globe scene. I just love the original music that was behind Illuminations. And it was original. I love the different languages and all that. It was more like a movie montage kind of thing that was going on. But it's going to grow on me some more. But out of the two, Harmonious is my winner of the nighttime shows.
Good.
What about you, Rick? So mine's Enchantment. What about you, Rick? You got to pick one of the two.
I can't.
She can only pick Harmonious.
I can only pick Harmonious. Yeah. Ask again later. That's what the Magic 8 Ball says.
So every spot around World Showcase, I don't think is a good spot like Illuminations. I would say your better spots. If you can, I would guess Italy or Germany-ish. Like on the rail would probably be a great spot.
I agree with that.
I would try to get that if you can, or obviously right there between the two port of entry stores.
Yes.
But that's, you got to stake out a lot of time there. You can't, with Illuminations, you could roll up at 8:45 and you're really fine with the show. I don't, again, because you got projections. I mean, it's just kind of they have those, those, what do they call them? Like the whales, the big
tacos,
the big screens. I mean, and they're kind of, situated where you can see at least one of them at almost every angle, no matter where you're sitting, but you want to kind of see like a stereo pair, and some spots you'll see like the big center ring and then, one on each side. That's probably what you want to see. I think as the human eye kind of wants to see like that. So anyway, again, pretty show. And I think I could grow to love it. And I will say that and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, because it's just how you feel about a show. It hasn't grown on me yet. And my expectations for a nighttime spectacular at Epcot are just so high because of Illuminations. They're unrealistic. I get it. So don't give me hate mail. I'm going to give it a chance. And I'm not saying, and please don't take this the wrong way. When you go down on your next trip, this might be the thing you fall in love with. And I bet your kids are dancing to it and loving it. I bet
I was dancing to it.
You'll probably be dancing to it. And I might be dancing to it in November. I'm not being mean about this. I'm just saying some things take longer for Mike Rallman to like. I mean, some people like country music. Some people are, I love country music, and some people, are wrong because they don't like country music. So there you go.
Don't even get me started with that, Rallman.
I'll maybe sing some Alabama, from back in the day,
Oh my gosh.
Hey, see that mountain over there? Yeah, one day I'm going to climb that there mountain. Okay, anyway, let's talk, because we're not going to get all these reviews in, but because we've talked Beacons of Light. Let's talk Steakhouse 71, because we might save Space 220 because Pam was there.
Yes.
And she'll be back next week. Okay, so Steakhouse 71, real quick, used to be called The Wave.
Did.
Back in the day, because I listened to 3028 with Kevin and Matt, used to be the Fiesta Fun Center.
It was.
Yes, used to be the arcade at the Contemporary. Let me tell you how cool it was. They put out their show about the Contemporary this past weekend while Scott was staying at the Contemporary. And I got to hang out at the Contemporary because Scott was staying at the Contemporary and we were eating at the Contemporary as well. Real quick, Scott, because we have a few extra minutes here. You stayed in the garden wing. Yep. And I swung by your room. I had never been in a room at the Contemporary. I've never stayed there. I've been there a million times for other things, never stayed in a room there. I loved your room. So give a quick review of staying in the garden wing. What'd you think?
I thought it was great. So my check-in process was kind of a hassle. 45 minutes at the front desk. Couldn't get Magic Bands to work. I requested the ground floor, and that's never guaranteed, right? When you put in a request, it's a request for a reason. Didn't get that. So my initial thought was like, I was like, I'm not getting anything I wanted, which is silly on me. And that's not normally how I roll. I was just kind of frustrated. I really wanted that ground floor, whatever. So my initial thought was I dropped the bags. I'm like, yeah, the room looks fine, blah, blah, blah. Let's go. But then later that night, I was like, wow, this room is actually really cool. It's really spacious. It's huge. You think of a Pop Century, the bed, almost is hitting the TV dresser stand. Yeah. Here, there's so much space. We had 7 people in that room comfortably at one point, just hanging out, Yeah,
not sleeping in the room.
Not sleeping. No. Disney, we weren't breaking any rules there. We were just all hanging
our
out.
Bags to go to dinner. Exactly.
Yeah. We're just hanging out. But in like the last day I checked out when I was taking a shower, like I was like examining the shower, like the tile is like really cool in there too. Like something I didn't think about. Like it's just super spacious. The sinks are a funny thing. So they got these like 2 flat sinks, but there's like no space in between. So like there's no storage to put like your brush or like your makeup bag or like your deodorant. But basically, we had to use like another sink for storage, which was kind of funny. It was funny because Pam and Steve were saying, "Oh yeah, we do the same thing. We put a towel on that other sink, and it becomes like the storage sink." I thought it was great. Mike, you were going to talk about the desk too. I think you like the desk space that was.
Yeah, there was like a little working area there. I mean, there was a fireplace in your room, which was
the
fireplace, which was very 70s. I don't know. I love the feel of this room. And actually, I told you I'm going to stay in one of these rooms if I can catch a discount on this summer because of the convenience of being next to the Magic Kingdom. And I've never been in one of these. This room was kind of, I mean,
loved it.
It's definitely got an aesthetic to it. It's dark, like it's kind of a dark wood, but with that fake fireplace thing, and it's got these vases in there that are really random, but it's big and it's convenient. I again, it's very different.
It would be really great for your family, especially if you had Paige, because I think about
it's got the sofa bed,
and I think about even having Emily. Like we're like on top of each other in a lot of rooms, but the space was so great where we wouldn't feel like we're on top of each other. And just for those that haven't stayed there, like you may have the same thought I did. Like I thought the garden wing was like miles away, almost like at a huge moderate or something. Like, oh my God, I'm so far away from the main tower. It's like a 2 to 3 minute walk to the main tower. It's not bad at all. And you know what you see on your walk? You see the monorail going into the main building. So like that, there's so much value in that. So I loved it. And I know that you kept talking about like Matt's podcast, they were talking about all this history and like, oh man, I just heard about the sandbar the other day. Like, this is so cool to see all this history.
Like that morning I was running to hearing about all the history of the Contemporary. Then I was like hanging out with you like, oh yeah, now I'm in the spiral pool. We were hanging out back there at the quiet pool. And yeah, it was perfect. It was great. Again, it was a perfect weekend for it, right? Because we were celebrating. Like that was an original. I was just geeking out the whole weekend. Because I'm like, I'm at the Contemporary. Like, this is
what did you think about the lobby update to the Contemporary?
Gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, it's so perfect. The one weird thing we all said was that the Mary Blair picture that they put as a tribute to her is in the kids area. Like, why
yeah,
it's probably because a small world in the Dallas, but
okay, I didn't make that connection. Yeah, it's a small world. Yeah.
I liked that they had on the circular thing in the center that they had a 5-legged goat. I thought that was awesome. That was such a great touch. Yeah.
I love that. So, me and Elizabeth were talking about that this morning though, like because we saw it so many times because we were staying there, but like some of the furniture just felt weird. Like there's like this 8-seated like dining room table.
That is kind
of
weird.
Like Elizabeth was like, is this like a showroom, like a furniture showroom or something? Like are you allowed to sit? Are you allowed to sit here or not?
Weird.
But like I love
somebody should tell like Uber Eats like a Kentucky Fried Chicken meal. Sit down
right. It was some parts of it were confusing like that. Some of the couch pillows were kind of weird, but like I love the color. I love the color scheme. The photos behind the check-in desk are gorgeous. Like I love like the old, like the building of the Contemporary, which will kind of bleeds into Steakhouse 71, which is kind of cool. Like a lot of those photos do. And it was brighter. I love the new light fixtures, but it's an A+. I will say I saw some photos of Disney's Old Key West, Mike. Our resort had a lobby refurb that just opened up too, and man, does that lobby look so awesome.
Oh, I gotta check that out. I didn't see that.
I thought that looked better than the Contemporary one personally, but we'll save that for another show.
Yes, we gotta because I'm gonna be checking that out tonight while I'm eating my dinner. Yes. Okay, cool. I gotta check that out. Okay, we'll give us about 10 minutes, and we'll be talking about this for shows to come. Steakhouse 71 first impressions, we'll call this, because we don't want to make this show too long. So again, we had a couple of reservations, got them combined. We didn't get to sit together, but we sat across from each other because apparently, again, supply chain shortages. They didn't have enough chairs in the restaurant where they put like a big long table together. So one of us had to sit in a booth. 4 of us. I sat there with Pam and Steve and Ricky and myself sat in a booth. Scott and some folks sat over at a table kind of across the path there, across the way. And so, we kind of sat parallel to each other. And it was kind of fun because we ordered different stuff. Of course, Tim was our waiter. Awesome waiter. He's taken care of so many Be Our Guest podcast listeners over the years. I finally got to sit at his table. We met him in passing at a 4th of July meetup at Epcot years ago. But this was just great to interact with him. I asked him, is this really the old Fiesta Fun Center? He's like, oh yeah, the arcade games were here. And that's where the snack bar was. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was geeking out. And he was telling us everything about, the history of like the wave and how They shut the restaurant down at the height of its popularity, but this is going to be even more popular. It was just awesome. And he's such a great guy. He's a cool guy.
So
shout out
awesome.
to him.
I loved him.
Shout out to Tim. Yeah.
Right
got to see him a couple times because I had breakfast too, as we talked about on Wednesday's show. So got to see him a couple times, which is pretty neat.
So let's just dive into the food. So decor, it's just like an extension of the lobby with the kind of abstract, like murals, kind of depicting, if you look at it hard enough, you can kind of see nods to the Magic Kingdom attractions, stuff like that. Tim swears you see Spaceship Earth in the last panel. I couldn't see it, but if Tim's got a better eye than I do.
I can see it.
Did you see it? I couldn't see it. I was trying to find it.
Yeah.
Colors. It was kind of purple and silver, like I like behind me.
No. I totally saw it. It was abstract.
Okay,
it was
definitely
abstract.
I don't have an eye for art. I'm terrible.
Okay.
So I'll have to go back. That means I have to go back. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I'm not good at art. I'm from Missouri. Okay, so anyway.
I'm from Missouri too, and I figured it out. Come on. That's not a good excuse.
You're more artsy. Okay, anyway, so we get there and he gives us the menu and gives us, the suggestions. Now at our table, he tells us, all the suggestions and stuff. And he tells us, one of the suggestions to get Salisbury steak. And I'm like, okay, we're there for lunch, by the way. I'm like, Salisbury steak, man. I haven't thought of Salisbury steak since I was like in 4th grade. And it was on the lunch menu, from
TV
like
dinners.
School. Exactly. I'm like, Salisbury steak. He's like, trust me, dude, Salisbury steak. You want to get, I was like, I trust you. I'll get Salisbury steak. He's also start off with a wedge salad. He's like, you will not regret it. He says it's like a blue cheese dressing. And I'm like, I don't think I like blue cheese, but I trust you. And so I got that. And they also have for dessert that big, it's not quite as big, but it's that 15-layer cake you can get at Top of the World Lounge. If you've ever been there, it's huge. Chocolate cake piece. Had that. Everything was amazing. So that's what I had. Amazing food. I mean, I would recommend all 3 of those things. Steve Forrester next to me had the Salisbury steak. I mean, we were just about licking our plates. It was that good. It was unreal. It was on a bed of mashed potatoes. So Scott, what did you have and what were your thoughts on the dining there?
So I ordered 2 orders of onion rings for the table as an appetizer because I love onion rings. And they were awesome. They were so awesome. And they were served like in this cool, like metal, like a fry box. Like you'd get like at any fast food joint, but it was like metal and silver. Like the presentation was so awesome. They're nice and crispy, well done. Really, really awesome onion rings. And I went with the classic cheeseburger. Classic, but there's like a pork belly on this cheeseburger as well. So yeah, you had the beef and the pork and like melted cheese just oozing out. Like it was quite awesome. I really enjoyed it. Elizabeth also had the Salisbury steak that you and Steve had, and she really liked it too. She kind of felt the same way, like, well, if this going back to Wednesday show, if this is one of Walt's favorites or like an OG wave menu item, like I got to go with that. So our table was happy with what we had. I think we had like fish ordered and crab cakes too. Like we kind of spread it all around so we can sample different things, and it was really good.
Yeah, it's got a really good variety of food. And again, we were there at lunch. I didn't see the dinner menu, but I'm sure it's kind of similar. But
I think there's more steaks.
Yeah,
it's more like a steakhouse place at dinner time.
Yeah.
It was, and the prices were really good too. I mean, it wasn't super expensive. I mean, I thought it was very reasonable, and it's a good place to get out of the madness of the Magic Kingdom too. So ADRs are hard to get, so get them now. Okay, Ricky,
and their desserts. You talked about the cake. Like that's obviously everyone's gonna want like the 15-layer cake, 15 floors of the Contemporary. It's kind of cool, like how it's
that's why it's 15. Like, dude,
you didn't know that?
All these things. See, I was wondering why it was 15.
Yeah, it's supposed to be shaped like a Contemporary kind of.
That makes sense now. God, I'm so dumb. Okay,
yeah. So that was really good. But Tim suggested like, hey, you gotta try this ambrosia dessert, and he brought it out. It was really so kind of him to bring that out. And I'm just kind of looking at it and like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this thing.
Same. I thought the same thing it's like avocado color.
It's
like
kind of green looking.
Yeah,
totally coconut. But it was awesome. It was so awesome. It was great for like a hot day or whatever. It was very refreshing. And I think your table did this too, but we ordered the creme brulee as well, which had like chocolate and vanilla like custard in it, which was very unique.
It was.
All the desserts. I would actually rate the cake my least favorite, then creme brulee in the middle. Then my favorite actually was that ambrosia dessert. I never thought I'd say that.
Oh yeah, our spoons were like fighting for that. Everybody was like taking a polite, scoop first to try it for the table, like the ambrosia, because we weren't sure about it. Once everybody had the first bite, it was like everybody was going back in to make sure they got.
So Elizabeth was like mom, and she like cut it into 4 even sections.
Smart, yeah, we just dove right in.
It is all that. Okay, Ricky, what did you get? Thoughts on Steakhouse 71?
So I got the grilled cheese, which also had pork belly on it, and it was so yummy. Oh my gosh. It was a buttery bread. Oh, it was so good. Oh my goodness. If you like grilled cheese, this is a fantastic grilled cheese. And then I had waffle fries with it. It come with like Parmesan on top. Oh, they were so good too. I know Tim was worried that I didn't eat all my fries. It's just because I have a very small stomach and I was filling up on the grilled cheese. And I knew exactly. And I knew I was gonna get dessert. So I was like, do I want to waste my stomach space on dessert or on the fries? And the fries were good, but I'd rather go for the dessert. So but he brought me like a gigantic container of ranch, basically. We talked about how much ranch there was to dip my fries in. It was the perfect accompaniment though. So the fries are really they were waffle fries and they were really crispy. So I like that part about that. That was really good. And I enjoyed the creme brulee too. I thought everything was great about my experience. You know, I loved the wave before it closed. They brought back the bacon and eggs, which was an appetizer and usually what I eat as my main entree. But I decided to try something different just since, you know, it was the new Steakhouse 71. So I was like, let's try something different with the the grilled cheese, which was fantastic too. So I very much, I do love Steakhouse 71. I loved it when it was the wave. And I will be going back lots and lots more. I can't wait to try breakfast. I may or may not have suggested they bring back the sweet potato pancakes because I know they have pumpkin ones right now and they're like seasonal pancakes, but come on, the sweet potato pancakes were what they were known for. So I hope that those become a staple again on the menu. I mean, overall, I very much enjoyed, Steakhouse 71 and I will absolutely be back. So Tim, I'm sorry you're stuck with me. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm coming back again.
And I'm going to try dinner in November after Mike, you'll be there too. I think we got an ADR for after the half. I think we're going to do dinner.
So much steak for Mike Roman.
I cannot wait. I will say, because I promised this to Tim, errors and omissions of the Be Our Guest podcast. I got to say this. I did mention at some point that there were peanut butter and jelly wings. Now, you could only get those at the lounge. You cannot order those.
We did try. They were not delivered to our table.
I did not know that. So apparently Tim had to tell the general manager of the restaurant that we had blown the ball about that and not mention that you could only get those at the lounge. And so people have apparently listened to the show
asking for
the first couple days. You got to go to the lounge to get the PB&J wings, which do that because we didn't get a chance to.
We did not. We were so full and we did not get to try them. Yeah.
But there you go, Tim. My bad. Yeah. I promise that's it. And there it is. Okay. So we are running way long, but we have so much more to talk about.
We didn't even talk about the new attraction we rode.
I know we didn't talk about Ratatouille. We haven't talked about Space 220s. We got Epcot stuff to talk about, but we'll dive into that in the coming weeks or next week. So we got plenty to talk about, but, don't want to make the shows too long. So we're going to jump out here and let you have a great weekend. We'll be back again on Monday with the trip report. Then Wednesday and Friday, of course, we'll kind of just jump into all this stuff that we got. Lots of stuff to talk about. But if you have any questions, like I said, about any of this stuff, you're heading down, you want to know strategies or, what you think you should do as far as dining and so forth, because things are changing and we got lots of thoughts. So just send a question to Mike@BeOurGuestPodcast.com. We'll get that on the show right away. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by The Magic for Less Travel. Check them out. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons who allow us to put these shows out 3 to 4 times every week. We couldn't do it without your support. And our patrons get a 5th show called Mike in the Midwest every Thursday. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, just visit patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow on the social media. I'm at BRGuestMike on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Scott at @Scott, and you can follow Ricky at Ricky Nibs. Give us a follow on the Facebook and YouTube as well. You'll know we go live again. No live show this Sunday. I'll be coming home from Chicago, but we'll be doing a live call-in show 1 week from this Sunday. So put that on the calendar. We'll be taking your calls and having a good time with that. But until we get together again on Monday, you guys all have a fun weekend. So for Ricky and Scott, I'm Mike saying stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. It was a good one, man. That thing would have gone forever.
Woo, it would have.
I know, man. We got to eat, though.
Forever. Yeah, I know, right?
I'm starving.
Oh, I know. I got to make dinner.
What's that? We can't even It's already Tuesday night. We're not buying groceries at this point. So.
Oh gosh, I know.
And Emily has like a band festival tomorrow, so we're.
Oh, Uber Eats. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I got to go pick up Oliver still for my dad and brother. So.
Oh no! Whoops.
Riley just farted in here and smells so bad. I was like, what is that smell, man? Oh,
better than Mallory.
Well,
man,
this one was good this time. She didn't even bark. She was so good.
Shouldn't say that out loud because she'll bark 7 times next week.
I know. You were such a good girl. Yes, you were. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this. Those were 2 good shows.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys later. Bye.